do not care. Man. So, let's see. Charlie. Join the stream. The marine stream. Come on. Okay. I'm gonna start now. I I don't know. I saw that they're looking at making a sequel to the Backrooms movie. I want to go watch that. It sounds really good.
Hello,
Not
everybody,
as good as Underdog.
and welcome to Underdog Season 3, Episode 10, The Backwoods. The evening sun is painting yellow on the sky, shining through the lush green forest. The light breeze is dancing upon the fields of grass, with dandelions seemingly placed within. Wildlife is teeming with squirrels running through logs and birds singing serene songs. A brown house sits alone on the fields, and inside the smell of freshly baked pie fills the air.
Whoa,
In
Undertale
one of the
reference?
rooms is a bedroom plainly decorated with a bed, wardrobe, and
Wait, hold on, I need to restart that.
hello, everybody, and welcome to Underdog Season 3, Episode 10, The Backwoods. The evening sun is painting yellow on the sky, shining through the lush green forest. The light breeze is dancing upon the fields of grass, with dandelions seemingly placed within. Wildlife is teeming with squirrels running through logs and birds singing serene songs. A brown house sits alone on the fields, and inside the smell of freshly baked pie fills the air. In one of the rooms is a bedroom plainly decorated with a bed, wardrobe, and a desk. At the desk sits a younger Dylan, resting his head on his hand, writing something with the pen in his right hand. Someone's feet appear at the doorframe, and it's Dylan's mom, and she knocks on the doorframe. Alice is here. Dylan sets his pencil down and gets out of his chair, running to the living room and then to the front door. He unlocks the door and twists it open. Alice is standing there in black shorts and white t-shirt. Come on, I gotta show you something. Alice nods and runs inside, closing the door behind him. Following Dylan, he goes to Dylan's room and looks at the drawings on the desk. Hey, these are pretty good. Dylan is rummaging through his closet on a step stool. Thanks. I've been practicing. Dylan grabs something out of the closet as Alice lifts up the few scattered papers, looking at them. Dylan steps off the stool and pushes it back into the closet with his foot and closes the closet. He's holding a brown box that has a dent in it, reaching it out for Alice to grab. Alice takes it and looks at Dylan confused before he opens it, setting the lid to the side. Inside, he pulls out an emblem with a lightning bolt in it. Dylan smiles, waiting for Alice's reaction. Instead, he just stares at it and looks up at Dylan, raising an eyebrow. You said you were making a suit, right? Alice stammers for a moment.
I am not paying attention. I need to focus. Maybe it's not loud enough. But if I make it louder, then it's gonna echo. Ouch.
Few scattered papers, looking at them, closing the door behind him. Following, Dylan sets his pencil down and gets out of his chair, running to the living room and then to the front door. He unlocks the door and twists it open. Alice is standing there in black shorts and white t-shirt. Come on, I gotta show you something. Alice nods and runs inside, closing the door behind him. Following Dylan, he goes to Dylan's room and looks at the drawings on the desk. Hey, these are pretty good. Dylan is rummaging through his closet on a step stool. Thanks. I've been practicing. Dylan grabs something out of the closet as Alice lifts up the few scattered papers, looking at them. Dylan steps off the stool and pushes it back into the closet with his foot and closes the closet. He's holding a brown box that has a dent in it, reaching it out for Alice to grab. Alice takes it and looks at Dylan confused before he opens it, setting the lid to the side. Inside, he pulls out an emblem with a lightning bolt in it. Dylan smiles, waiting for Alice's reaction. Instead, he just stares at it and looks up at Dylan, raising an eyebrow. You said you were making a suit, right? Alice stammers for a moment before putting the emblem back in the box. I can't be a superhero. Sure you can. I've seen you do hard things before. Yeah, just because I can do more pull-ups than you doesn't mean I'm some hero. You know, anyone can be a hero. It's who they are that makes them super.
Yo, I know that from somewhere.
Alice closes the box and sets it on the desk with the drawings. So why'd you really want me to come over? Dylan smiles and the camera focuses out of the door and out the window on the forest. It cuts to them walking down the hill behind Dylan's house towards the forest. I thought you weren't allowed to come back here. Yeah, I'm not. Alice chuckles as they reach the bottom of the hill and look into the forest that seems to go on for miles. Why though? Dylan shrugs. Thought it could be fun. Dylan starts to jog into the forest and Alice follows. It cuts to them walking on a dirt trail in the forest. Dylan is kicking a stone on the ground and Alice is looking around the forest and the leaves and animals. Do you have a favorite bird? I've never really thought about it before. Dylan looks up from the stone and out into the forest. Blue jays. Alice fake yawns. Jeez, what do you want me to say? Anything but a blue jay. Could have said a falcon. That would have been acceptable. Acceptable? It's subjective, dude. Alice stops and points to something, a stream of water flowing through the forest. When me and my dad went down to Florida, we saw a bunch of gators eating a dead animal. Awesome, Dylan says sarcastically. It was awesome to me. Dylan steps over the rocks and into the stream. He kicks the water before stepping out on the other side. So, tell me more about your powers. Alice steps across the stream after Dylan. You know, run super fast. Dylan turns to Alice walking backwards. Show me. Alice rolls his eyes. He stops walking and starts to run using his super speed. He runs in circles around Dylan, sending leaves and grass into the air. He stops and Dylan is watching, grinning big with amazement in his eyes. Alice puts his arms up looking for Dylan's response. You could vacation wherever you want. Alice laughs. That's what you take away from that? That's sick, though. How'd you get it again? Alice's smile falters and he puts his hands in his pockets. I, got kind of sick. They put some syringes in me and my blood just didn't like what they put in me. Bam. Super speed.
Holy,
Damn.
that's a tough
Lucky.
backstory.
Alice sighs and looks at the ground,
Super
rubbing
tough.
the back of his neck with his hand. Sometimes I feel drowsy, but the pros outweigh the cons. Come on, there's something I really need to show you. Dylan passes Alice's back and starts jogging forward again. It cuts to black and opens it back at the outside of a building. A sign saying Herman and Sons Funeral Services. Inside, Alice's dad is sitting at a table with a paper on the table. Somebody on the other side is sitting there with a pen in their hand pointing at the paper. Alice's dad's face is drooped and emotionless. So, where do you plan on holding the funeral? Somewhere close. The man writes something with his pen. Well, Ashley at the front desk will take the fees. Sorry for your loss. Alice's dad just blinks in response and stands up, pushing in a chair. Outside the building, Alice's dad walks out and sighs, cold air coming out of his mouth. He goes to his car and gets in, slamming the door behind him. He crosses his arms, resting them on the steering wheel, and lays his head down. It cuts to Dylan sitting on his bed. The sheets are folded on the corner of his mattress. He's staring forward at the blank wall. His stare, just as blank. It cuts to a different angle of Dylan showing the other side of his bedroom. Items are thrown around and a potted plant on the floor with the dirt spilt and scattered everywhere on the carpet. It zooms closer to his face. His eyes are red and puffy. He sighs, drooping his head before getting up off the bed and walking towards the bathroom door. Inside, the mirror is cracked in the corner, but everything else is normal. He puts his hands on the sink and looks at himself in the mirror. He creaks the faucet on and puts his hand below the running water. With his now wet hands, he runs them on his face. He goes to a towel on the wall and dries them off. He holds onto the towel for a moment longer. He feels the fabric between his fingers before pulling away and walking out of the bathroom. He goes to his front door and grips the handle. He takes a deep breath and opens the door, walking out, closing it behind him. It cuts to shoes walking on grass. Back in the woods, Dylan and Alice are still walking, with Dylan leading Alice somewhere. Soon, Dylan stops, puts his hand on Alice's shoulder, and points to something in the distance. Alice stops and smiles. Cool, huh? How long you know this was here? Dylan lets go of Alice's shoulder and keeps going towards the thing he pointed at. The camera cuts to a skeleton with moss and grass on him, sitting in a faded blue chair in a cockpit. The window of the cockpit gets filled with Dylan and Alice looking in. Sucks to be that guy. Good thing we're not dying anytime soon. Alice.
Hold on. I think you can edit the subtitles if you want. I don't know. I just know there a bunch of the shows on YouTube that I watch. There's people that exclusively work on the subtitles. I don't know how you do it though. I don't have any videos that have words, so.
Nudges Dylan with his arms. Yeah, whatever. It cuts to the body of the plane submerged into the ground, covered in moss and vines. The camera facing the cabin door, with the two stepping in over the detached wing to the door. Alice steps up to the door and tries to open it, but it doesn't budge. Come. Dylan gestures for Alice to follow, and he goes back to the cockpit window, smashing it open. With glass flying everywhere, the two step over the window and onto the control panel, slowly going down it until they landed onto the grass that's overtaking the floor of the plane. This is crazy. Alice runs his finger on the mossy skeleton's head before making a disturbed face. What part? Alice takes his finger off the skeleton, rubbing two fingers together, making the moss fall off. I don't know. The fact a commercial airplane just crashed right into your backyard? We walked pretty far out. Not so much my backyard anymore. Alice opens the cockpit door and goes into the passenger cabin with Dylan following close behind. Inside, the seats are clear of skeletons or any other remnants. Why is this clear, not the cockpit? Probably cleared it out. Couldn't get the cockpit open, maybe? Alice keeps walking and scans the seats, checking for anything. Alice stops, making Dylan stop behind him. He enters one of the rows of seats and picks something off of one of them. Dylan looks over to see what he's grabbed. It's a hat. A dirty baseball cap. He looks at it for a second before tossing it back into the seats and continuing to walk. Dylan follows, looking at the hat for a second before walking past it. They reach the back of the plane, and Alice stops, turning to face Dylan. This it? Were you expecting more? Alice leans on the back wall of the plane, crossing his arms. Nah, Before being able to finish his sentence, the wall Alice is leaning on breaks, making him fall backwards. Running through the hole in the wall, Dylan bends over Alice. You alright? I should have figured this was back here. Dylan puts his hand down and Alice grabs it, pulling back to his feet. Alice brushes off his pants and turns to the hole, seeing unopened crates. He looks back at Dylan before stepping in. It cuts to the warehouse, and Jake and Zara are sitting on the couch. Miranda is lying on her bed, and Alan isn't there. Jake looks over to Zara.
It's good Alan isn't in here. He'd be dead the second he'd walk in.
Zara stays silent, just scratching her eyebrow.
I know he didn't really kill him, but if Lotus didn't kill him, that sickness would have.
Yeah. Jake looks away from Zara and focuses on Miranda up the stairs. She'll be fine. Jake takes a deep breath.
We all will.
What about Dylan? Him and Atlas, they were...
Inseparable.
Yeah. Jake looks back at Zara.
We need to get rid of Lotus.
If it was as easy as that.
It is.
Zara raises an eyebrow and it cuts to Alice and Dylan for prying open one of the crates in the back. Flinging the top off with dust coming out, the boys cough and faint it out of the air before Dylan reaches down into the box and pulls out a phonograph. He sets it down to the side and checks in the crate one more time before stepping back and seeing Alice standing by a crate with at least 4 other ones open. Jeez, dude. Alice speeds to another box and opens that one with Dylan walking past the unopened box, seeing what was in them, until he reaches Atlas and stands by him, viewing what's in the box with him. Barely visible because of the absence of the light, Atlas pats around the inside of the crate before he feels something inside. He feels a soft surface, feeling like a cloud was placed inside the box. He gets a grip of it and pulls it out, bringing it to some light. What is it? Dylan moves out of Alice's way as he steps back, making the unknown object get engulfed in the outside light, which is beginning to set. It's a black velvet button-up shirt. Dylan smiles before it cuts to Alice, stretching his arms, now wearing it. Alice gives Dylan a questioning look, smoothing out the front of the shirt. Looks good. For a dead man's shirt. Alice scoffs and rolls his eyes. He walks past Dylan and back through the hole in the wall. I don't think he cares. Dylan follows Alice, ducking through the hole. Well, I think I'm gonna head home. Dylan leans against the wall of the airplane. Thanks for coming. I'm gonna speed home. And on the way back, I'll take the emblem. Dylan smiles, nudging Alice's shoulder. I knew you'd come around. Alice puts his hands on his hips, smiling. Probably just hanging on my wall or something. Dylan rolls his eyes and Alice steps back before speeding off, leaving Dylan alone in the airplane.
Oh my gosh, no! I actually kind of liked him.
The 3 that were there earlier are gathered together in a circle.
So Lotus is a robot.
Thanks.
Oh, wait,
Jake
why am I
side-eyes
pausing?
Zara before motioning back to the paper on the table they're circled around.
Anyway, there's just no way that any robot can live without some kind of power source. We find it, we destroy it.
Before Jake could say another word, the front door opens. It's Dylan storming in and stopping before the table. What are you guys doing?
Talking about Lotus.
Dylan nods, changing his gaze to the floor.
No, I don't care about Alan. Underdog would actually go really hard as an animated series, like 2D. Like Invincible or something.
Floor. Alice's funeral. It's Sunday morning. The 3 nod silently. Dylan turns and begins to walk away. You could join us if you'd like. Dylan turns around with his eyes swelling up with tears. Thanks, but Alice's dad should have somebody to talk to. Zara nods as Dylan walks out the front door.
Hopefully he gets over this. It'll be hard, but we need him.
The three just stand there a moment, taking in everything.
You need to tell
Jake
Keaton
takes
to
a
put
deep
more
breath
emotion into it.
deep sigh before taking a huge breath.
So where were we?
Some sort of Lotus power source? Jake looks at Miranda, who's been standing there silent the whole time.
You got any ideas, Miranda?
Miranda's eyes widen, seemingly getting distracted from her spacing out. No. Whatever you're talking about sounds great, Jake. Jake blinks at Miranda for a second before rubbing his eyes
Did he stop wanting to voice Jake? Or like did you kick him out?
over his face and walks toward the main area. Zara glances at Miranda before also walking away. Today, we're here to honor the life of a young man. It cuts to Alice's dad standing at a podium reading off cards on it. My son, you are everything to me, and everyone here. He looks up from the podium, nodding at everyone in the crowd of black suits and dresses, but looking at Dylan, who's standing in the front. Dylan nods lightly back. I remember when you would always come home from school, and you'd always want to throw a football or baseball. Alice's dad started to tear up. You made my days have meaning, life, hope. He swallows before shuffling to the next card. You'll be missed. For how hopeful you were, how you just radiated happiness in the others. He shuffles to the next card. So today, starting now, we will all strive to be like you. Even a bit of you would be more than a lot of us. He sniffles before wiping his eyes. I love you, son. He looks back at the crowd, whispering thank you, before walking off the podium and motioning Dylan to walk up. Dylan walks to the podium, but doesn't have any cards. He takes a deep breath before looking up at the crowd. Atlas. He was a beacon of hope.
Music!
Me
Oh my gosh.
and everyone.
What a this is
He was someone you
revolutionary.
could look up to. But he was someone you could just be yourself around, too. So that's why today I want to share a story with you all. And it starts with Alice coming to my house on a summer day. Cuts to black, and the credits begin to roll. The end of episode 10.
That's pretty tough. You should put if you get other people to voice act or you get other people involved in it, you should put more credits in. Or like even if like it just stays you, you should think about putting like I don't know 5 seconds of credits even. I don't know. But the music is revolutionary. Gave me shivers. I will rate that episode a 9 out of 10. That was pretty good. I thought my microphone wasn't on. That scared me. Let's see. From the series, ooh. I got 11 and 12 left. I'm excited.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Underdog. Today we got
But the music you gotta use that more.
Season 3, Episode 11, No Time to Mourn. This takes place Christmas Eve. A few days have passed, and it's now Christmas Eve. But the warehouse is nearly abandoned. The festive lights turn outside or turn off, and the Christmas tree is toppled over. The ornaments smashed on the ground. It zooms into a box fan on the ground, the blade spinning at the max speed. It transitions to another fan and zooms out, showing a whole plethora of gizmos and tech. Zooming out even further, showing Lotus's head. They're sitting down in the room with the screens in their main base. But this time, Lotus is not turned off. This time, they're watching a download bar that is at 99%. They get out of the chair they were sitting in and turn to the door of the room, exiting into the main area. They go to a shelf set up against the wall, and they slide it over using their foot. Behind it is a rectangle opening in the wall leading to a bright hallway, the lights above buzzing. They step through the opening and into the hallway and start going through it. Step by step, Lotus passes large, black circular containers with the tops closed. They pass hundreds before reaching a small room with a glass window and a gray door. Lotus opens the door and pushes it open gently. Inside, there's a control panel below the glass window and a red button under a glass casing. They lift it up and press the button, creating a steam sound rebounding down the hallway. And almost rapidly, all the containers flow steam and from the lids and they pop open. And slowly, a white robotic sphere rises, a glowing red circle in its front,
Hold on.
surrounded by...
I need to get something. I will be right back. You're dangerous. Dangerous with that weight. My bad. I'm back. I dropped scissors next to her, next to my sister, and she told me it was dangerous. Yeah. Personally, I don't believe in danger. Danger's my middle name. No, it's not. My middle name's Anne.
lines of orange wrapping around the entire body. It shows all the robots in a line above their corresponding containers. They all turn to the entrance of the tunnel and start to move toward it quickly. It cuts to Lotus, who's standing outside the room with the button watching as his children begin. The title card plays, and it cuts to black. Miranda is sitting in her car at a red light. She's sitting there tapping the steering wheel and humming along with the song on the radio, until she stops and squints her eyes at something outside. The sounds of spinning turbines fill her ears, and the robots Lotus release are flying through the air in a single file line slowly. She pulls out her phone and dials somebody. As the phone rings, it cuts to Dylan lying in his bed staring at the ceiling. As his phone begins to buzz, he sighs and grabs it, reading who's calling. As he answers Miranda's call, another turbine sound appears at the window of his bedroom. He turns and comes crashing through as one of Lotus's robots, sending glass everywhere onto the floor. Dylan's phone drops on the ground, answered as Dylan raises his arms, shielding the onslaught of glass from his eyes. He lowers his arm, seeing the robot beginning to enter the room through the window. He raises his legs and kicks the front of the robot, the impact sending it back outside. The robot is still pushing back, so Dylan decides to jump out the window onto the robot. The camera shifts through the wall to the outside as Dylan is holding onto the robot, kicking the bright red circle. This makes the robot begin to fly to control, spinning around the outside of the apartment building. As Dylan continues kicking, the altitude of the robot's flight begins to decrease, closer to the road below with cars zooming past. The robot starts to smoke from the top as it begins hurtling toward the road at a fast speed. The robot hits the ground, dismantling, while Dylan skids across the ground, scraping his arm. As he starts to get up from the ground, 3 more robots hover around him, but before they can attack him, Miranda, in her young devil costume, lands on top of one, piercing her pitchfork through it, and doing the same to the other 2. She jumps off and lands gracefully onto the road in front of Dylan. "You left this at the warehouse," Dylan says, as she hands Dylan the pink gem necklace containing his suit. Dylan grabs it from Miranda and latches it around his neck, before grasping the gem, making it glow and encase his body with the underdog suit. Dylan wraps his hands around Miranda and begins to float into the air before making his way to the warehouse. "What is going on?" Dylan slows his flight speed, reaching the warehouse and landing on the ground. He releases Miranda, and they both look in terror at the warehouse. "Must be Lotus," Dylan says, as the camera pans from him and Miranda to the warehouse, which is encircled by the same robots from earlier, all beeping and scanning the warehouse. It cuts to inside, with Lotus walking, gliding his finger along the main console, and Jake is hiding behind a box out of sight of Lotus. Lotus grabs the top of the spinning chair and rotates to them before plopping down on it and rolling himself closer to the main console, beginning to type. But a small sound emits from Jake's direction, making Lotus immediately snap their head to it. Whoever's over there.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait. What did the caption just say? Shoot, you're right. It is. Seer, I'm not talking to you. Shut up. You're right. It's pretty sick. What did the caption just say?
It cuts to inside with Lotus walking, gliding his finger along the main console, and Jake is hiding behind a box out of sight of Lotus.
Whoops.
Lotus grabs the top of the spinning chair and rotates to them before plopping down on it and rolling himself closer to the main console, beginning to type. But a small sound emits from Jake's direction, making
You need to fix that. You need to fix that.
Lotus immediately snap their head to it. Whoever's over there might as well come out. You're dead either way. Jake sighs before standing out from behind the box with his hands raised. Jake.
What's with the bots?
Lotus gets off the chair and picks it up, throwing it effortlessly into the warehouse wall, smashing it into two. Lotus begins to make his way towards the hand-raised Jake.
Who are you?
Lifelike Object Test Unit 6. The three tentacles on Lotus's back begin to extract out of their chambers and towards Jake. Jake quickly reacts
That's a
and ducks
tough,
out of the way, running to the other
tough
side of
name.
the warehouse. Lotus looks over to Jake and redirects her tentacles in his direction. Jake looks back and sees this, so he weaves in and out of the tentacles, dodging them until he reaches a tall cabinet hiding behind it. Lotus retracts his tentacles and walks towards the cabinet slowly, dragging out each step. Surprised your friends aren't here to save you?
Oh, they'll be here.
Lotus looks to the left and to the right, their neck making a whir sound before they look back at the cabinet. I don't see them. As Lotus approaches closer, Jake looks around for an escape. He looks at one of the windows at the top of the warehouse wall, but sighs it off. Wait, the back door. How could he forget? He snaps his head to the door at the back of the warehouse. Lotus is even closer now, only a few steps away. You make a good sidekick, you know. Another step. I could upgrade your body. Another step. So, what do you say? Another step, and Lotus sharply turns around the cabinet, but Jake isn't there, and the back door is open and rebounding off the hinges at the door. Outside, Jake is not too far from the door and looking up at the robots looming above. At least 20 of the 100 robots in the sky notice Jake, and all of them open a hatch on the bottom of them, and a small turret flips out, making Jake's face drop. As all the robots' turrets begin making a spinning sound, bullets start to fly at Jake, but they stop midair, glowing pink. Jake looks to the right, seeing Dylan holding out his hand, and Miranda running towards him. Miranda puts his hand on Jake's back. Come on. They both duck and start to run towards Dylan, who once they reach, he puts his hand down, making the bullets unfreeze and fly into the warehouse wall, clinking off. The three run past the warehouse and towards the towering buildings nearby. They keep running, cutting through trees and over rocks, until they get far enough away and they stop to take a breather.
What the hell's going on?
Jake says as his hands are on his knees, catching his breath. We need to find Zara. Jake and Miranda glance at Dylan as he starts to walk towards the warehouse. Give us.
I mean, you know what you should do? You should, once you're done writing, like, season 4 and whatever else left you have left to write, or you want to write, you should, go back and rewrite, like, season 1 through 3. Seasons, 1 through 3. So, that way it makes the story easier to understand. And I don't know. You can like no, three is fine. I like season 3. Like the earlier episodes of season 3. Like where it's transitioning from that like season 2 mindset, you know? I don't have a problem with season 3.
Us a sec? Dylan stops and looks back at Miranda. You guys can wait. I'm getting Zara. Dylan continues walking.
Oh my
and
gosh,
Miranda
Zara.
runs towards him, grabbing his arm,
Ooh.
making him stop and look back. We're safer together. Dylan jerks his arm away, making Miranda's hand fall. I'm fine by myself. Dylan goes back to walking, keeping his gaze away from Miranda, who's watching, frustrated. It cuts to the front of Dylan as he keeps walking forward with a mission. He walks past the camera as it is focused. He walks past the camera as it is focused on Jake and Miranda in the background, still watching Dylan walk away. It cuts to Dylan still walking with his hands twitching at his sides. The camera looks over to the warehouse in the distance, getting closer, as does Dylan. Eventually, he gets close enough that one of the still floating robots look in his direction, but before it can activate its turret, Dylan looks at it and crushes it with his powers by grasping his fist. The crushed corpse of the robot falls to the ground, plummeting. Dylan walks past it and towards the warehouse's back door. He enters and sees Lotus inside typing on the main console. Instead of being sneaky, Dylan extends his arm and opens his hand, making Lotus fly back towards one of the walls. Lotus hits against the wall, sliding onto the floor below it as Dylan walks towards it, dead set. Lotus slowly gets up, but Dylan stops them, kicking his foot into Lotus's head and knocking it back into the wall. Dylan leans down and grabs the side of Lotus's head, gripping it and bashing against the wall over and over again, denting the wall and Lotus's head. Eventually, Dylan stops and lets go of their head.
What does that even mean? You can get out now. Why? 'Cause I'm streaming. Yeah. Dumbass. I'm sorry for my language. You literally talked about that in season 1. My sister's name is Kenley.
Head, looking at troops freely.
What was that? I bet it was your next guess. I'll accept it.
Dylan backs up, stretching out his fingers. He looks down at Lotus, whose head is making strange mechanical sounds. You've already lost, Dylan. Dylan stops, stretching his fingers, and rests his arms to the side. Have I? Lotus slowly looks up to Dylan. Just keep dreaming. Dylan raises an eyebrow and looks around the warehouse. You'll get it soon enough. Dylan looks back at Lotus, scanning their body. Do you die? Lotus looks back down. Do you think I'm being controlled, or am I sentient? Dylan takes a deep breath and puts his hands on his hip. So you can die. Lotus brings his hands up and tries to clap, but just makes a loud, ear-shrieking metal sound, making Dylan wince. And I know your next question is why the robot attack. Dylan rolls his eyes. Whatever you are, you're going offline. Lotus looks up at Dylan, but it's
That's tough.
short-lived as Dylan's foot goes through one more time, smashing Lotus's head into a clump of white and orange metal plates and wires. Dylan pulls his foot back with wires hanging off of it. He shakes the wires off and puts his foot back on the ground. It cuts to Dylan opening the pull-up door of the warehouse and locking it at the top. Dylan peeks outside, seeing there is still countless robots roaming outside. He retracts back inside, looking at Lotus's body again, until he decides to walk up to Lotus and kneels down, looking inside the smashed head. He begins to rummage around inside, looking for anything of use. Eventually, he pulls out a motherboard of some sorts. He lays it to the side and goes back to the head, beginning to pull the wires out of the head in clumps. He eventually empties the head and lets go of the now lighter, empty head. He groans and runs his hand over his face. He looks at the ground as he starts to think. Before, his face raises and he rushes to a drawer by the main console. He flings open the drawer and begins frantically searching through it. He starts throwing things out and pulls out a small earpiece, putting it in his ear. Zara, he says after tapping the earpiece. His breathing is heavy as he waits for a response. He stands there blinking repeatedly. He looks down at his feet, seeing that they were tapping without him even noticing. He looks back up and finally, Dylan? Where are you? Are you safe? Yeah.
KK, turn down your phone. I can hear it from out here. Turn down your phone. Thank you.
I'm fine. What's going on right now? Dylan starts for the front door.
Yeah, and so do I.
I finished
See, me and Dylan are one of the same. Sorry, one of the same. You know.
off Lotus. I guess his bots aren't finished, though. A long pause of silence lingers between the two. Listen, you can take a break. Let us take care of the bots. Dylan scoffs. There's no time to mourn, Zara.
Oh my gosh, he said the thing. Dylan said the thing. That's tough.
Go to my apartment. We'll all be there. Yeah, we'll be there. Dylan furrows his eyebrows. We? It cuts to Zara and Alan standing in front of a horde of reporters, and behind them is a line of fallen, broken Lotus bots. Someone holds out a microphone to the two. So tell me, Face, how do you manage to always keep your suit so clean? Alan raises an eyebrow behind his mask, looking at Zara, who steps up and answers for him. We don't have time for any questions right now. We're sorry.
Oh, they think
Zara steps back
Alan's
and looks at Alan, who's
Atlas.
smiling behind the
'Cause
mask. She
they're
grabs Alan's hand
they're
and opens a
twinning.
portal leading them through it. On the other side, they walk out of
I do see that.
Dylan's apartment, which is completely toppled. Planks and bricks scattered everywhere. Zara and Alan both see Dylan standing on top of some of the rubble with his hands behind his head as he looks with sadness. Zara walks forward and motions her hand at Alan, telling him to stay back. She steps onto the rubble and stands beside Dylan. She swallows. Dylan, I'm so sorry. Dylan lowers his arms and turns to face Zara. He looks passionate and sees Alan. Dylan, wait! Dylan begins to march toward Alan, with Zara trying to hold him back but failing. Dylan stops in front of the ready to fight Alan. Dylan speaks, his voice full of anger and hatred. Why are you here? I didn't even kill him. Dylan loses it and punches Alan in the face, stunning him back. Alan holds his cheek where he got punched. Dylan walks towards Alan again, but as he begins to punch again, a portal from Zara engulfs him. Dylan follows the punch motion through, notices he's in a pitch-black room and stops, standing still. Another portal appears in front of him. Zara comes out walking straight at Dylan before stopping before him. You need to calm down. How do you expect me to be calm when you bring Alan near me? Look, I hate to say this, but Alan's not killed Atlas. Lotus did. Dylan takes a deep breath. Atlas knew he was going to die.
Is it gonna be important? I don't know.
So that's why he went out there and tried to stop Lotus on his own. So without Alan giving him the sickness, he wouldn't even thought of doing that. Zara eases slightly as she takes in what Dylan says.
Oh,
She
okay.
sighs and steps closer to him. Look,
I see.
I know what it's like losing someone close. So we'll all give you some time. Oh, you know. Was your sister infected by a guy, or was it just nature? Dylan, shut the hell up. Alan is a murderer. You didn't have somebody you wanted to kill after she died. Zara just stays silent, squinting at Dylan. She turns around and sniffles before starting to walk back to the portal she came through, which is still there. But before she goes through, she stops. You need to calm down, Dylan, before you lose everyone else. She lingers a
Again.
moment longer, seeing if Dylan will say anything, but he doesn't. So she walks through the portal, it closing behind her. Dylan just stands there blinking silently. He starts to bend down and sits with his legs out in front of him. He stares at where the portal disappeared and whispers to himself. As he's whispering, the camera zooms out and it cuts to black. The end of episode 11.
Holy tough. I rate that episode like 7.9. Nothing really happened, and I only liked where Dylan punched Alan. That was the only good part, because it had emotion, you know. But yeah, it was decent. 7.9. 7.9. Okay. Final episode. Are you ready? I know you've probably watched it like 10 times by now, but are you ready? I will. I was planning on it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Underdog episode.
I'm happy I'm back to another Underdog episode. That makes me happy. Oh, season 1, episode 1? He gave it a thumbnail too. I didn't expect to see that. What a throwback. Oh, whoops.
We got season 3, episode 12, the last episode of season 3, Terminal 18.
I've been seeing this episode on my recommended a lot. Even though like even when I was watching like season even when I was like watching season 1. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for this. It should have more than 13. It should have 1,300 views. 13,000 views. 13 million. Maybe that's too far.
This takes place Christmas Eve. Here we go. The wind is howling. An unreadable metal sign is banging against the arch it's hung on, making a loud sound. Balls of paper and other trash are blowing and rolling past a dilapidated wooden bench. Somebody is running, wearing brown pants and a matching blazer. A pale hand is grasping strongly on a briefcase made of leather.
Oh, read the description. Okay, sorry. Dylan learns something heart-dropping as the team formulates a plan to rid the robot army from Lotus. That's pretty tough.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back
My sister walked and I wasn't paying attention.
to another Underdog episode. Today, we got Season 3, Episode 12, the last episode of Season 3, Terminal 18. This takes place Christmas Eve. Here we go.
Ooh.
The wind is howling. An unreadable metal sign is banging against the arch it's hung on, making a loud sound. Balls of paper and other trash are blowing and rolling past a dilapidated wooden bench. Somebody is running, wearing brown pants and a matching blazer. A pale hand is grasping strongly on a briefcase made of leather. The person holds onto their brown checkered bowler hat. They run under the arch holding the sign. The camera lingers on the sign, showing what it says on it. Terminal 18. The man stops in front of the black train tracks and rolls his sleeve back, checking the watch on his wrist. He looks up and glances down the railroad for the train. Seeing nothing, he rolls his sleeve back up and begins to pace before hearing the whistle of the train making him snap his head to the tracks and stopping his pacing and standing still in front of them. Soon the train rolls up and slows up. It stops and the door flings open. The man approaches the stairs and goes up them, looking at the train conductor, handing him his ticket. The conductor takes it and views it over. "Mr. Ezekiel, how wonderful for you to ride with us today." He hands the ticket back to Mr. Ezekiel. He shoots the conductor a glance and walks past him to the aisle as the camera centers on the briefcase as he keeps walking. It cuts to black and the title card plays. It cuts to Dylan sitting in the black room, still alone. He shakes his head and finally snaps out of it and looks around the room. Noticing it's pitch black, he holds his hand up and snaps a flame to his fingers, illuminating it. The room is tiny and mostly empty except a trash can in the corner. Dylan locates the only door in the room and goes up to it. He grips the doorknob and looks at the door before opening it, and there's no floor and all there is clouds. Dylan gets shocked and steps back from the edge. He taps into his comms. "Zara, where am I?" Dylan stands there a moment and no response returns. He taps off of it and walks towards the door, looking out to the plunge. He looks down and doesn't see ground anywhere nearby. He takes a deep breath before charging a jump and springing out the door, beginning his free fall down. As the wind is rushing against his face, he squints his eyes as his body is unmovable. Eventually the ground comes into his vision, but not even close to it. He falls into a body of water, sinking down. He starts to swim to the top, catching his breath when he exits the water. He looks around and notices he's in the middle of a public pool that's deserted. He furrows his eyebrows in confusion. He looks around for any sign of life, but can't find anything.
For the beginning part or the part that's happening right now.
Suddenly, he feels a force tugging at his foot, trying to pull him back
Oh, okay.
down. Even though he tries to fight it, he gets pulled back underwater. The water muffling his screams as he frantically attempts to swim to the surface of the water. As Dylan and the force continue to play the game of tug-of-war, the force seems to be pulling away. As Dylan loses motivation and energy, he allows the force to pull him to the bottom. The screen slowly closes to black, imitating the closing of Dylan's eyes. But now the sounds of waves crashing against the beach fill his ears, as does the sound of kiaos from seagulls. He slowly opens his eyes and lifts his head, realizing where he is, and that he is laying down. He brushes the patch of sand off his cheek and pushes himself off the hot sand and back onto his feet.
I just want to do that real quick.
He gets up and the sun is blazing down onto him, and the sky is clear, the alone blue filling it.
You should
He
listen to
looks
Y
around and
Part 2.
doesn't see any
It's
sign
really
of
good.
life, and again, he starts to step forward, but a strange sound comes
It is an album. It's a really good album, and you should listen to it.
from the ocean behind him. He turns around and a section of the water is parted, being forced back to create a narrow path. He decides to go down the path and walk down it. Each step he admires the vibrant blue water and the key creatures dwelling within. Eventually, the path stops being created, and instead, seashells begin to mold together, forming a door of them. He looks at the knob made of crab claws and grips it, trying not to pinch himself. He twists the claws and pulls the door open. On the other side is a bright orange orb filling the bottom of the door, and above it is the black void filled with distant white stars. Space, Dylan realizes. He gets as close to the door as he can and looks down at the orange star, looking at the swirling surface. He takes a deep breath before reaching his foot out through the door and cautiously places it down onto the star. He looks at his foot for a second before pulling his other foot through the door. As he does this, the door slams shut behind him, leaving the washing sounds of the sea behind. Dylan looks at his feet, astounded by it. He looks up.
This really reminds me of what happened at the end of Hawaii Part 2. I don't know. I don't know why that's on my mind.
And sees something further out on the star.
I need to pay
A
attention.
person with long, curly brown hair. He goes on his tiptoes to get a better view of the person, but can't see any better. He swallows and starts to jog before running towards the person. But no matter how far much he runs, the person stays the same distance away. He starts to scream out for them. Hello? The person doesn't turn around, and Dylan starts to slow down before coming to a complete stop. Dylan takes a deep exhale before turning around and seeing the landscape is different. It's a field of yellow flowers. Confused, he turns around and sees that the void behind him has also turned into this botanical filled grassland. His breathing goes to a calm as he takes in the fresh air and the sounds of wind and birds chirping. He starts to slowly walk through the field until he finds a small patch of just grass and no flowers. He sits down in the middle of the patch. He runs his hand along the top of the nearby flowers, making them bend lightly before they wiggle back up. After taking a few deep breaths, he plucks a flower from out the ground and holds onto the stem, twirling the flower in his fingers. Entranced by the flower, he doesn't even notice the kaleidoscope of butterflies approaching him. One branches off from the group and lands softly on Dylan's nose, on his now exposed face, which he also didn't notice. In slight surprise, he drops the flower and lets the butterfly sit there. He looks around with the butterfly still on his nose, and he raises his eyes at the sight of a black substance rushing over the field, consuming it. It cuts to Zara with her hands on her hips, Miranda and Jake standing plainly next to her, and Alan standing there to the side with his arms crossed over his chest. 3,
I must agree.
2, 1. At the end of Zara's countdown, a small purple portal appears above their flimsy couch, and Dylan falls out, plopping softly onto it. Shocked, he looks around them before glancing back, seeing the team. Zara, you were in your own thoughts. Everybody looks at Zara as she's about to explain. It was peaceful. Till the end. Good. You needed a break. Brandon and Jake walk off to do something else. Dylan stands up off the couch and walks around it to Zara. Are the bots still out there? About that. Zara and Dylan are standing on top of the warehouse looking ahead at the fleet of bots circling one of the tallest buildings in the city. What are they doing? Lotus must have coded them to do it. Code persists after his death. Question is what the hell he coded them to do. The two look at each other before it cuts to the robots circling the top of the building in a funnel shape down the building. Cops are surrounding the building on the ground looking up at the bots. Some cops are radioing things and others are talking to worried citizens, but everybody turns to the crackling of a megaphone off to the side. A cop is holding it in front of his mouth, waiting for everyone to give him their attention. Everyone, the problem will be resolved soon, so please return to your normal activities. As he's about to step down from the car he was standing on, a citizen shouts out, "It doesn't seem like it's being resolved." The cop stops as he's on the hood of the car. I assure you that we are actively working on fixing this problem. Where's Underdog? The cop takes a deep breath. If Underdog wanted to do something, he would have already done it. The cop turns off the megaphone and fully steps off the car, walking onto the road. It cuts to the inside of the warehouse where everyone is gathered in a circle besides Alan, who's standing slightly away. So let me say this one last time. Dylan walks beside Miranda. Me and Miranda are going to the sewer base. We need to try and figure out where the code is being kept. Dylan gestures his hand to the other 3 team members. You 3 see if you can neutralize the bots another way. Jake and Zara nod their heads while Alan just stays still. Everyone separates and Dylan goes up to Miranda. You ready to leave in 5? Miranda nods her head. You okay? We're both not okay. Dylan looks away from Miranda. But we can't focus on feelings right now. Let's go. Miranda turns from Dylan and starts to walk towards the door, grabbing her pitchfork on the way. Dylan stands there for a moment thinking about what she said before, following her out the door. Still inside, Jake and Zara are talking while Alan is watching from a distance.
What do you think is up with the bots?
Man, whatever it is, it kind of freaks me out.
And after we take care of them, we got Alan to deal with.
He's been helping us. Jake rolls his eyes and shifts his weight to the one side of his body.
I'm just saying, don't let him get too comfortable.
Zara scoffs and swiftly turns from him and looks at Alan, who's pretending he's not listening. She squints her eyes at him and walks off. It cuts to the yellow sky as the sun begins to set. The camera goes down until it goes under the underground sewer complex where Miranda and Dylan are close to approaching Lotus's base hallway. They both peer down it before starting to walk through it. They both walk through very slowly, trying not to think of past events. They reach the airtight door and it's wide open. They look at each other before entering the base and looking around. The floor still has remnants of crystallized on the floor. They step around it and continue to look around the base. Miranda goes to the right and Dylan goes to the left. Scanning the wall, Miranda notices the shifted bookshelf and the opening in the wall. Miranda walks through the door, looking down the hallway of the robot containers. Hey. Dylan turns from the other side and looks at Miranda. Go in. I'll be in there in a sec. Miranda steps into the hallway fully, and Dylan goes back to the side he was inspecting. Inside the hallway, Miranda notices a small windowed room and pushes the door open. She walks in fully, pushing the door against the wall, and looking around the room. She notices the open case of the red button and all the other buttons on the console. She looks out the front window before pressing a small gray button. Nothing happens. She begins pressing all the buttons of the console, none of them making anything happen. She sighs before heading for the door until a technological sound plays in the wall opposite of the console. She goes up to the wall and puts her ear to it, trying to listen. As she does this, the camera shifts to the other side and Dylan is standing in a dark room, his face illuminated by a greenish glow. It cuts to behind him, and he's standing in front of the screen that had the percentage bar on it. He looks down at the keyboard and hovers his hands over it, thinking what to do. Really inspecting the screen, he clicks one of the icons. The cursor on the screen gets a loading circle next to it, and a tab pops up. Please enter your password to view sensitive information. Dylan sighs and rubs the side of his head, thinking for a moment. He lowers his hands back on the keyboard and deliberately types out Lotus. He looks at it before clicking enter. Incorrect password. He curses under his breath and takes a deep breath, looking around the room, seeing if there's any clues of what the password is. He checks one wall, nothing. Another wall on the floor, nothing. He sighs before trying another password. Robot. He clicks and enter, and to no surprise, incorrect password. As he's about to give, Miranda's voice fills the room. It's Ezekiel. Dylan quickly turns around and raises an eyebrow. What? Miranda goes into the dark room and shows Dylan a yellow slip of paper with the word Ezekiel underlined. Dylan grabs the slip from her and looks at it, turning it to the back and flipping back to the front. Where did you get it? It was in a suitcase in the other room. Dylan flicks his eyes up to Miranda from the slip before turning around and going back to the keyboard, typing in the password, Ezekiel. He clicks enter one last time, and the tab goes to a new one, where there's 3 files. One named Lotus, one named Projects, and the last one labeled Terminal 18. Oh, and
Whoa,
there's
whoa,
one more thing in
whoa.
the suitcase. Dylan keeps his hands on the keyboard, but glances back at Miranda, who's holding a stack of 3 printed pictures. Dylan's face drops as he sees the pictures. One of a baby, 1 or 2 years old, laughing. The second of a kid no older than 6 holding a toy train. And the last picture is a woman smiling. Dylan's mom smiling. It cuts to black before cutting to Alan sitting on a bench, leaning his head back with his eyes closed behind his mask. Behind him, footsteps sound and Jake and Zara walk up to the bench.
Wake up!
Jake and Zara keep walking and Jake pulls Alan by the fabric of his suit, dragging him off the bench. Alan stumbles to his feet. Oh, what the hell, man? Alan falls into line behind the other 2 and starts to follow them as the camera pans up to show the robots funneling around the tower still. Zara looks at Jake. We got a plan? Jake keeps his gaze on the robots.
We'll see.
What do we think they're doing? Jake shrugs and Zara talks. Hell, could be opening a vortex, but more likely they're guarding.
I'm not This is like the fourth time I've done this. You walked on me every single time. I'm not reading a fan fiction.
What are you doing?
It's Charlie's series.
Series?
Yeah, it's called Underdog.
So it's fan.
It's an original story. Asshole.
Something.
Oh, okay. I bet that's what Dylan's doing. Fanfiction of him and Miranda.
Important. Lotus is dead. Why guard a dead man's treasure? Lotus isn't really dead, just his physical form. Alan squints his eyes at Zara, who looks back to see her as if rolling her eyes. It's just how robots work, Alan. Alan stops studying
I
and
don't
looks
think
back
so.
at bots.
Advanced robotics? You actually remembered something from that class?
Zara laughs. I'm as surprised as you are. Jake shoots Zara a small smile before going back to a neutral face. Jake and Zara stop making Alan stop too. Alright, I think we're close enough. Zara turns around to Alan. Maybe go in the building, see if you can find out what they're guarding. If they are guarding something. Alan nods before zooming off into the building. Jake and Zara face each other. Me and you need to try and pick up fudge nuts. Me and you need to try and pick off some of these bots.
Alright, stick close.
Zara pulls out her wand and twirls open a portal. They step into it, and on the other side they walk out on top of the tower, now inside the funnel of bots. Inside, the bots continue their funnel pattern. As Zara and Jake look around them, stunned by the sheer amount of them, Zara decides to make a move. She raises her wand, pointing at the sky, creating some thunder in the sky. She lowers it quickly, striking one of the bots with a bolt of lightning, making it fly out of control and below the building, sparking, going out of sight. But then, single other bot turns to Zara and Jake and arm their weapons. Immediately, Zara swirls open another portal, and they swiftly go through it back onto the ground below. Well, I think we need a new plan. It cuts inside the building where Alan is speeding in and out of different rooms of the building trying to find something.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I mean, who else do you think would be willing to voice act for this? Who are you friends with? The only two guys I can think of right now are Easton and Connor for some reason. Like Grant. I don't know. I don't know.
After going through a few rooms, Alan looks around a certain room for a little longer than the other ones. He goes further into the room and towards a black machine. Alan crouches.
Alright, good. I don't like him.
Down and inspects it closer. He grabs onto the side and glances to the back of it, seeing a wire connected into it, with an orange glow flowing through it. His eyes raise slightly and he steps back looking where the wire leads. As he follows it, he passes more cubicles until the wire leads up into the ceiling. He goes into one of the cubicles and phases through the ceiling, popping out of the floor on the next level. He glances around before pulling the rest of his body onto the next floor. Seeing the wire again, he goes to it and it's connected to a lifeless robotic body sitting in a chair. One similar to Lotus's body, but looks older and less advanced. Alan goes up to it and thinks for a second. He looks at the turned-off body, leaning its head back, running his finger along the exposed hinges. He looks away for a second before quickly putting his foot on the robot's knee and forcefully pulling its head off, dropping wires onto the floor. He looks at the front of the head before speeding off for a second and immediately returning without the head in his hands. He goes for the rest of the body, lifting it up from the side and speeding off with it too. He returns to the outside, standing by Jake and Zara.
What did you find?
Alan shrugs. Just some cubicles, you know, office stuff. Yeah, is that why all the robots are panning out? Jake and Alan both snap their heads at the tower. seeing the robots beginning to leave the funnel formation and off into two different paths. What's going on now? Jake steps off to the side and taps into his comms.
Hey, Dylan?
It cuts to Dylan and Miranda back at the dark room in the back of the base.
Dylan stares at the picture of his mom and slowly takes it from Miranda's hand. He takes it and keeps looking at it, just blinking at it blankly. You know her? Dylan blinks, our tears filled with tiny tears. This is me. Dylan pulls up the picture of the baby. This is my brother. Dylan puts the baby picture of himself down and shows Miranda the
Oh
picture
shoot,
of the kid
Dylan
with
has
the
a.
toy
Oh,
train.
that's right. Dylan had a
Puts it down and
brother.
slowly pulls up the picture of
I
his mom.
forgot.
And that's my mom. Miranda's face only gets more confused and shocked as she learns that all the pictures are of Dylan's family. Why isn't there a picture of your father? Dylan sits a stack of photos on the counter next to the keyboard and looks up at Miranda, his eyes slightly red and teary.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, did Dylan's dad make Lotus? Yo, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I was never really around. Too focused on work, was always taking trains out of town. Miranda looks down. I didn't know it was that bad. I don't really like talking about it.
I feel like Dylan would say like, "Oh yeah, my last name is Ezekiel," and then credits roll, and then Underdog's over because they figured out the the mystery of Underdog. You know. I'm sorry.
Oh. Still doesn't explain why the password is your last name and there's pictures of your family. Yeah, maybe the reason's on the computer. Dylan turns around to the computer, wiping his eyes clean. He puts his hand back on the mouse and slides into the file labeled Lotus. He double-clicks it and the file opens. Inside are some pictures of blueprints showing the design of Lotus, how he's built, what he's made of, and who he's made by. Dylan's face drops. We gotta go. Dylan quickly turns off the console and walks past Miranda, leaving her stunned. She chases him out. What did you see? Nothing. Let's regroup. Dylan starts heading for the main door of the base, but Miranda runs up to him, rotating him
To look at her. What the hell did you see on there? Dylan sighs and looks anywhere but at Miranda. I don't know how, but my dad made Lotus.
Yo, I
Before
predicted it.
Miranda gets a chance
Call
to
me
speak, Jake
Akinator.
over the comms cuts her off.
Hey, Dylan?
Dylan clicks his tongue and rolls his eyes to the top of his eyes before tapping into the comms. What, Jake?
The bots, they're not funneling anymore.
Dylan lowers his eyebrows. What do you mean they're not funneling anymore? What are they doing?
They're panning out, splitting up.
Dylan gestures for Miranda to follow him down the hallway and out of the base before responding to Jake again. Sit tight. We're coming. Dylan taps off his comms and starts to jog down the hallway, holding his hand out for Miranda to grab. It cuts to the outside on an empty city road, with stars twinkling brightly in the sky. A manhole cover on the ground gets pushed open and slid to the side and placed down on the road. Dylan's suited arms comes out from the hole and helps him push himself out. Once he gets to his feet, he helps Miranda out. Once they get out, they look around at the empty road, looking at each other before Miranda holds on to Dylan as he flies away. It cuts to them landing on the roof of the warehouse next to the rest of the team, who is watching as two groups of robots slowly make their paths towards something unknown. Dylan lets go of Miranda as she walks to the rest of the group watching the bots.
I sorry. I have indeed peak voice acting right here.
Dylan walks up as well. We need to control their groups. We can't have them split up like this. I could make a portal, get them together again. Dylan makes a grumble sound. Where would you send them, though? Zara thinks for a second before her face lights up. I have a place in mind. It cuts to Dylan separating two medium-sized prongs on one of Zara's portal devices. Dylan taps into his comms. It's set. Mine too. We're ready. It cuts to Zara at the portal device by Alan. Okay. Here goes nothing. Zara points her wand at the device and slowly a new portal forms. Alright, got it. Jake, you're up. It cuts to Jake standing under one of the fleets of bots. Jake pulls his hand up, showing he's holding a flare gun. He hovers his finger on the trigger of the flare gun. He presses down on it harshly, and a red flare shoots out the barrel, hitting the middle of the robots, making some fall, but most immediately look at Jake on the ground. Come on, bots! Jake flails his arms as he begins running towards the portal machine that Alan set up. As Jake gets closer to the portal, Zara sparks a device and the portal begins to grow beyond the bounds of
Maybe that's just a dialogue issue.
the device, making a big enough portal for all the bots. Jake runs at the size of the huge portal, and the bots all get tricked by the trap and get transported through. On the other side, Dylan looks above at the other half of the bots and uses his gravitational powers to pull them towards his direction. Slowly, the bots go his way as the veins on his neck pop out. Zara swiftly comes out from another portal to the side and makes the portal in the machine bigger, engulfing all the robots, transferring them to the place the other robots went. It cuts to the whole team standing by each other now, smiling and relieved. As everyone is laughing, Alan is standing off to the side, alone. But nobody notices and they just keep talking.
Wait, so where'd you send him again?
It cuts to the barren wasteland of the Death Realm with skeletons flying around. Two gigantic purple portals appear, and both fleets of robots come out and into the Death Realm.
Oh
the
my
portals
gosh.
closing behind them.
Oh my god, it's my favorite villain, Black Death, coming back. Oh, I'm so happy. Oh, I'm crying tears of joy right now. So happy.
It cuts back to Earth.
It was smart, Zara.
They all stand around for a moment longer. Well, I think we need some rest. Everyone nods and walks off screen, leaving
Darn.
Dylan and Alan alone to talk. Dylan walks
That
up to
makes me
Alan.
sad.
Alan, you should go. Alan looks up at Dylan as he approaches him. I'm not scared of you. Dylan looks at Alan under a shroud of hate before flying off with his powers. It cuts to the barren forest in front of the rising sun. Small particles of snow drifting around in the air. Faint sounds of birds sounding through the air. Dylan is sitting on the familiar rooftop watching it all play out. He's alone and doesn't have anything with him. But his piece is long, as a purple portal appears and Miranda walks through, saying thanks to someone on the other side. She fully comes out and the portal closes behind her. Hey. Hey. Miranda walks to the ledge Dylan's sitting on. Me and the others are going down to clear out Lotus's base. You want to join us? I'm alright. Miranda nods and looks away from Dylan to the sunrise. Oh, Merry Christmas, dude. Dylan is a little surprised, but maintains his nonchalant, quiet demeanor. Yeah. Can't believe almost all of us forgot. I'm gonna go, handle something. Dylan starts to get up from the ledge as Miranda watches him with sadness in her eyes. She sighs as he levitates off the roof and away, off camera. She looks away and back at the sunrise, starting to finally understand why Dylan comes here all the time. It cuts to Dylan flying over the city as he looks down at some of the buildings. Some bodegas, offices, and a cemetery, the same one Atlas was buried in. He looks away, keeping his eyes shut tight for a second longer as he continues to fly. Finally, the camera stops as Dylan keeps flying, leaving this camera behind as he starts to blur with the pink and orange sky as it cuts to black. But wait, it cuts to someone sitting in a chair, and he watching something intently. He gets up and slams his hand on the table multiple times before grabbing a circular metallic mechanism off the table and walking through a door frame. It cuts to black, and the credits roll.
Whoa,
end
whoa, whoa.
Of season 3.
That's tough. I think I'd have to give that episode 9 out of 10. That was pretty good. And it was really long. Like that I don't know, that surprised me. It was good. I liked it. Okay. Let's watch season 4, episode 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Underdog episode. Today, we have season 4, episode 1, Wilt. Takes place April 2026.
Yo, that's this year. That's too close for comfort.
A
Oh, I
single
believe that.
pink petal is floating to the ground. As
Are
it
those
falls,
sound effects I hear?
footsteps crunch on the ground.
Ooh.
As the sound of them gets closer, the petal touches the ground and the foot stomps on it. It zooms up to Dylan walking, a neutral look on his face. It shows as he's in an empty graveyard. He droops his head, looking at the singular dark blue flower he's holding. He stops
Revolutionary.
walking, standing beside a grave cluttered with flowers and other items. Dylan kneels in front of it and places the blue flower in the other bundles, with the other bundles. He looks at the grave, wiping his nose. Hey, bud. It cuts to the front of the grave, showing he's at Alice's grave. Dylan closes his eyes, looking away. Been a while since we talked, huh? Dylan fiddles with a spike of grass below him before taking a deep breath, getting ready to talk again. 29. That's the amount of people I've killed since you. Dylan sighs, not being able to finish his sentence. I've tried stopping, going to the warehouse, saying anything to them, really. Dylan looks at the noon sky, clenching his jaw. Fought this guy with cannon arms again, I guess. Zara's leading the team now. Dylan looks back at the grave, but as he's about to say something, a footstep fills his ears, making him immediately stand up and face the sound. Relax. Dylan looks at the girl. She's not too much taller than him, and she has a pleasant look on her face. You know him? Dylan flicks his eyes between her and the flower she's holding. The girl gestures at the grave as she talks. He was my cousin. We weren't too close, but I knew him. She walks to the other side of the grave across from Dylan, placing the flowers to the side of the headstone. What about you? Dylan looks away, thinking what info to give this girl. Me and him were friends. The girl nods. Name's Dylan. Dylan looks back down at the girl, as does she. Mandy. Dylan squints at her, trying to read her. Well, I was just wrapping up. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Dylan kneels back down and his hand hovering near the headstone. I'm really trying. Wish you were here to guide me. Mandy watches as Dylan finishes his conversation, trying to not make it obvious she looks around the graveyard. Dylan stands up, brushing off his knees. It was nice to meet you, Dylan. Dylan starts to walk away without responding. Mandy raises an eyebrow but just lets him leave. Dylan just keeps walking until a huge explosion appears in the distance, piercing the air, making Dylan and Mandy snap their heads to it.
But when Mandy tries to see Dylan, he's gone.
Whoa! That's tough.
And it cuts to Dylan flying through the air.
That was
He's now
pretty
wearing
tough.
underdog suit. It's all the same design, but on his back is a brown holster for none other than the Wanderer blades. Dylan's going fast against the wind, dead sound and explosion. He lands at the side of the smoking building and enters the exposed hole. He looks around before seeing.
Yeah, but at least you got a title in. This is not revolution, improvement after improvement, you know?
Fuse, the man with the cannon arms.
Hey, it's
Dylan
my
sighs seeing
stream.
this. How did you
There's 2 other
escape?
people watching?
Fuse turns around
Cool.
and sees Dylan, immediately arming one of his cannon arms, aiming it at Dylan. Ooh, I'm so scared of your cannon. Fuse stands up and his voice breaks the silence. So cocky. Dylan reaches to his back and pulls out both Wanderer blades, gripping them for life. Seeing this, Fuse begins to activate a shot from his arm. Dylan notices this and chucks one of the blades at Fuse, but a purple portal transports Fuse away, making the blade just stick into the wall. Dylan closes his eyes and sighs, walking up to the blade on the wall, pulling it out, chipping the wall. Before he turns around, though, a voice fills the room. Planning on killing him, too. Dylan's eyes open, and he holsters the blade onto his back, turning around to Zara. Wasn't rhetorical. Dylan steps closer to Zara. Just you here? Zara takes a cautionary step backwards. If you're asking if Alan's coming, he's not. Dylan stands a couple more seconds before turning to the hole in the building, starting to walk away. Can I forever? Dylan stops in his tracks. Don't act like you want me to come back. Dylan waits for a response, but Zara keeps quiet, making Dylan jump out the hole, beginning to fly away. The camera stays on Zara, and a streak of blue lightning sweeps next to her. It's Alan. He talk about me? He's not the forgiving type. It cuts to a door in a candlelit room. It's an office space with cleared out cubicles, but there's a little setup in one of them, containing a bed and some books stacked up. Off to the side is a corkboard with pictures pinned into it. Pictures of Lotus next to pictures of an older man with glasses. The door begins to open and Dylan, still in suit, walks in the room, closing.
Yeah, why did you do that? But less Miranda. Less Miranda.
Behind him. He goes to the bed and sits down. He reaches up and pulls his mask off, setting it to the side. He runs his hands over his face, groaning. He looks up, his eyes droopy and bags flying below them. He leans back and rotates his body, stretching his legs to the end of the bed. He sighs, closing his eyes. As he starts to drift off, something appears outside of the window of the wall of the building. He squints his eyes at it, trying to depict what it is. His mind swirls, trying to see what it is, but before he can make it out, whatever it is comes crashing through the window, making Dylan get up immediately.
Hey, at least it
Quickly,
didn't cut
a
you
foot
off.
slams into his head, making him knock his head back into the cubicle wall.
The explosion was kind of funny. Because, I don't know. It cut you off. When you started to say boom. I don't know. It was funny.
Wall to the side of the bed. Dylan starts to open his eyes, but then something fills his vision before going to black with a loud thud. Voices can be heard, but they're unrecognizable. Slowly, Dylan starts to wake up and tries moving his arms, but they're tied behind the chair he's sitting in. He lifts his head up and feels the absence of his underdog mask, and sees a group of 4 people talking, with one of them pacing around. They're all wearing pitch black uniforms with shoulder, chest, and leg armor on, with a strange-looking S with a serpent intertwined through it on their shoulder. The one pacing is looking back and forth from Dylan and the group talking. Finally, as the person notices Dylan's awakening and snaps her head to it, the person goes to the other group and points back at Dylan, making them all look at Dylan. One of them, a taller, slimmer one, goes up to Dylan, standing in front of him. "Look who's awake." "Who are you people?" The man in front of Dylan crosses his arms as the other 3 fill up to his sides. "Name's Sergeant Wiley." "But we're not here for me. We're here for you, underdog." Dylan Ezekiel. "Oh, underdog."
My full name, it's Dylan Ezekiel. My dad, I don't know. It's pretty controversial.
Dog doesn't even make sense. Dylan scoffs. "And further note, we have dampeners." At this, Dylan tries to activate his powers behind the chair, but nothing happens. "What do you want?" "Well, we're just going to ask you a few questions." Wiley flashes a fake smile, making Dylan squint his eyes at him. "First off, tell me more about this team of yours." Dylan thinks for a moment about what he should respond with. "They're not my team anymore." Wiley makes a pouty face, mockingly, of course. "How does one lose so much power?" "They were dragging me down." "Good to have people back you up." "Damn right." Dylan looks at the woman to the left of Wiley, who's grinning, also noticing his blades behind them sitting on a table. He looks back at Wiley. "That's Officer Montgomery." Wiley points at the girl who just talked. "Sergeant and officer, you guys part of the military?" All 4 of them laugh. "You wish. Military loves underdog. Us, though, we hate you." Dylan leans his head
Too
back,
straightforward.
laughing. "Any more questions?" "We're not even close to being finished here." Dylan starts to get impatient and irritated. "After these questions, you gonna kill me?" Wiley forms a wicked smile. "You sure you want to know?" Dylan stares blankly at Wiley. "Well, it was nice meeting you." Dylan opens his palms and the blades on the table fly to him, slicing open Montgomery's side and going through one of the unnamed soldiers, killing him.
Ooh.
The blades curve around the chair, making Wiley and the other officers dive out of the way. Dylan finally catches the blades and cuts a rope binding his hands. He gets out of the chair and kicks it back into the wall. He grips the blades tighter and starts walking to Wiley, who's still trying to get off the floor. Dylan kicks Wiley's head, making a thud on the floor as it hits the ground. "Well, shit. Look at you." Wiley groans and begins to reach for his pistol on his hip. Dylan chucks one of the blades at his arm that's reaching, making him scream in pain. And he turns and slings the blade at the other person standing's chest, cutting right through it. Dylan calls to the blade as it flies over the now lifeless body of the soldier. Dylan then turns back to Wiley, who's squeezing down on the wound on his arm with the blade, bloodied. Lying next to him. He opens his right palm and the blade zips to it. "How?" Dylan glances at Montgomery on the ground, grimacing, then back to Wiley. "Now you know why they call me underdog." Dylan lunges at Wiley's chest with the blade before it cuts Dylan walking out of the empty room into a hallway that's mostly clean besides the metal boxes laid around.
Dylan starts to walk around down the hallway, his head raised high in case this building has more soldiers in it. Eventually, he reaches the door at the end of the hallway, a tall white door with a black handle. Dylan grabs it, twists it, and slowly pushes the door open. Through the small crevice, he can hear a garbled static sound, along with the sound of occasional voices cutting into the static. Dylan opens the door a little more, not seeing too much. More, he fully opens the door, revealing a room with a large radio system on top of a dark green table. Dylan steps in and notices another door inside and to the right. Dylan goes up to the door and opens it slightly too. Nudging it open, he doesn't see anything again, so he flings it open, revealing a blank room with another door on the other end. He groans, and it cuts to Dylan opening door after door. Every room is mostly blank, but entirely all not important. Finally, he opens the door and leads outside, where it's still dark and the moon is glowing. Dylan steps out and closes the door behind him and starts walking away. The camera lingers on the building, showing text on the wall saying Compound A. But Dylan doesn't notice this as he continues walking. Outside the compound is an open field, but the glow of the city is still visible. Dylan takes a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. Finally, after getting far enough away, he holsters his blades and lowers his arms to his side. It cuts to the warehouse, and Zara is sitting on the roof, her legs dangling over the side. She looks at something in the distance, a hill with a small mound of dirt with a makeshift wooden cross in front of it. It cuts at the pile of dirt, the wind blowing harsh against it, but calm. Very calm.
Holy tough. I like that. Go. Oh, thank you. You tell that to Charlie. Yeah. Come up to the microphone and tell him you liked it.
Yo, that was pretty cool, man. I only heard part of it, but that was pretty cool.
See, you got another fan. Read the chat. It's delayed, so it might take a second.
No, it's okay. Take your time. No, it's fine.
Shut up.
This conversation is going pretty well. Ow. Goodbye.
He said thank you.
I know. I'm so well done.
Whatever. I'm gonna give that episode like a 7.9 out of 10. Nothing really happened, but I don't. It was still like just the first episode of a season. I don't expect much to happen. I did like the ending. I like the sound effects. I don't think I'm gonna go under a 7 for season 4. It's pretty good. I really liked it. I do. What do you mean probably? Oh yeah, you're right. Probably won't. I am wondering though, who else could you like recruit to voice act for Underdog? The silence is odd. My sister's rating. Oh, I gotta get her back in here. Hold on. KK, get in here. He wants your rating. It's out of 10. Come on. Shoot. Oh, fell down. I'm not. I didn't fall. I stumbled.
Same thing.
Don't.
Ew, it's warm.
Don't put a dent in the chair. It's out of 10. Come on.
Like an 8.
An 8. Ooh, that's about what I gave it. I gave it a 7.9.
Oh, see, I'm better. I'm just better.
No, you're not.
I am.
You're not getting my sister to voice act for Underdog.
Why not?
Because
I would love to
not
voice act.
You're not a true fan. You haven't watched. You haven't gone through the hellscape that season 1.
Why not?
Get out.
Please.
Get out.
I don't need to know.
You can take that up with Charlie.
I don't need to know the lore behind it, yo.
Exactly. You haven't sat.
I don't need to.
You didn't sit through season 1 and come back to me.
It's all make it.
That was Game of Black Death.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he made all of it.
He made the Black Death.
No, Black Death is the character in season 2. It's
Right.
best villain ever.
You sure you don't want me to voice that?
Get out.
Please?
Get out.
I need something to do in my spare time.
I'm trying to talk with my chat.
The one person! The one person! Just say I'm trying to talk to my friend, yo. You're
Get
one
out.
viewer.
Get out.
One.
It's 11 o'clock. Go to bed, Grandma.
Okay, dearie. Good night.
Shut up.
Time for bed.
Shut up.
Change my diaper. Bye.
Exactly. Who has ever streamed a show with the creator in a chat? See, that's special. Like, I want to know, like, who else could you recruit to voice act for Underdog? Where are my hidden videos? I mean, have you gotten anyone else other than, like, me and Keen to watch Underdog? I mean, telling them they can voice act, I don't know, it's pretty tempting. Alright, alright. What to do now? Holy tough. Glazing my own art. Um. Hmm. I'm gonna get off here now. You should also listen to Hawaii Part 2. It's really good. And it's not that long. It's like under an hour. Bye bye. Good night.